Hi everyone, James here from F9 Audio and the Freemasons, and I can't tell you how excited we are to finally release this product. This is F9 TRAX Electric Disco. So let's just press play on this first Logic project. Yep, we've certainly done it this time. We have 5 fully functioning DAW projects built out of soft sampler patches, channel strip settings, and additional live recording and 24-bit audio. Each page comes with a whole selection of session notes so you can see how we've actually put the piece together. And as you saw from that clip there, a great deal of this is actually running from MIDI parts. So you can get in and you can see how we're voicing stuff, you can see how we're putting stuff together, change anything you want or use any of the parts you want inside your own production. Okay, so what are the patches from the pack actually like? Let me just play you the piano patch from this production. That's me playing in live from a MIDI keyboard. We've got a very, very cut down version of our Forte piano patch in here. It's only using a few samples, but as you can hear, it's going to cut through productions like a hot knife through butter. You may hear some top end hiss there. I got a bit crusher on this particular channel setting set to 8-bit, and that just kind of helps everything fit together. If I take it off, you'll hear it's a lot cleaner. And one tip whilst we're here, you may not know this, but you can get a sidechain function out of Logic's Tremolo plugin. I'm just going to zoom in here so you can actually see the settings. Give it a go on your own productions. We've used it extensively throughout the pack to get sidechaining without all the complicated routing that means when you try to bounce things down, you've got to have other things soloed. Okay, now let's listen to the bass of this production. And once again, you can see there all the parts in MIDI to prove that it's live. Now, this is actually quite a simple bass patch. It's not made up of tons of samples, not made up of loads of velocity layers, because what I find when you disco production is you want every single note to hit hard. And the way to do that is to be using a similar note set. But as you heard there, once it actually starts to sit in with things, it can sound fantastic. Okay, a little bit further on down, we've got a selection of chopped up guitar parts all spread up across the keyboard. But this is electric disco, right? And we have a ton of additional analog sample patches and some from classic DX7s as well. Here's a little OB6 sampled sequence patch. We've got a nice poly brass patch with our tremolo setting on again. On the more trad side, we've got a disco Rhodes. A perfectly on-point Jupiter 8 bass patch. And a whole range of drum patches that have been put together for this pack. Here's the live claps. Now, of course, the beauty of the TRAX system is that you don't have to stick with any of the MIDI that's actually on the page. You can just clear it all out. That's what I'm going to do here. And just use the actual sounds. I'm going to leave the drums where they are, so we kind of got a framework, and then program a new bass line over the top. Obviously, that one isn't strictly new. Now, I can't tell you how many people have asked if we'll put something like this together. And here it is. The Minneapolis page of Electric Disco delivers that era's sound absolutely perfectly inside your DAW. The drums are built out of audio. They've all been processed through the external hardware within the studio, and they are perfectly on point. And now just a word on the musicality of the pack. We studied hard all of the different chord structures that we used within classic disco, roots disco, some of the new disco styles, and particularly with this one, what was going on in Minneapolis with the wonderful playing of guys like Jam and Lewis and the kind of gospel influences that were sneaking in. And it is all there for the taking. It's all available in MIDI. Come and learn how these guys were pulling one chord that would take the whole thing out of key just for one bar, but make it sound so musically perfect. Now, for me, if this production's about anything, it's the fat ass bass. There's a nice bit of round robin going on within the actual ESX24 patch. You can see I've got quite a selection of plugins on it. The auto filter has actually been used to run some drive as well, which really gives an extra bit of bite. Because don't forget, even though Moogs are fantastic as they come out of the box, you do have to do still quite a bit of work to get them to fitting in a modern production. Now, I've also got a blank ESX24 patch that has been transposed down at 24 tones, so 2 octaves, and it's just running a sine wave. And that'll add some great sub-weight to the patch. If you ever try this, don't forget to replicate your pitch bend controls and any modulation controls you might have within the patch so that they are the same. Okay, so we got some multi-sample Prophet 6 patches here. And the big old chords. And once again, as I say, this is all running in MIDI, so if you want to see how I've actually voiced all this stuff, there it is, no holds barred. Use as much as you want. But I do want to quickly take you over to the middle 8 of this actual production. Now, one sound that was just absolutely synonymous with this style of music was the Rhodes that comes out of the DX and TX range. So really glad to have that within the pack. And on the DX tip, here's a nice plucked patch. Now, before we go off and visit one of the other projects, let me just solo the drum track for you. Now, I'm sure you'll agree that's quite hard hitting, but it's doing so without any latency whatsoever. We're really proud that we've set all these projects up without any plugins that generate latency like the AD limiter. And most importantly, there's not a single third-party plugin used throughout the entire pack. So as long as you're within the specs, which are, I think, Logic 9.1.4 onwards, or any version of Logic Pro X, these pages will just come up and open and work for you. Okay, this is the Philly page, and it's one of my favourites. It's got some utterly incredible wah playing from Robin Bolt, one of our co-conspirators. We've got a pack coming with Robin with a whole series of funk and disco guitars later on. Do watch out for that. It's an absolute stunner. But here he's really added some beautiful flavours to this particular piece. But it's one of the most musical here. It actually starts, even though, as you can hear, that is minor key back there. This whole piece actually starts major. Now, why does that work? How can we go from that straight into this? Well, for me, that's always been one of the beauties of disco, the ability to actually break the rules. The major and minor keys can actually, in certain circumstances, be completely interchangeable, as we've just shown you there. And disco was always great at this. To me, it's always been club music's almost classical music in the fact that it resolves. And what I mean by that is that when it comes to the end of one section, it often goes back to a place that feels completely natural musically and completely reliant almost on musical theory. And if you ever wondered about all this kind of stuff, all of the MIDI is here. All of these chord structures are here for you to actually digest and learn from. So that's it, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this short walkthrough of the Logic edition of F9 TRAX Electric Disco. We're immensely proud of this release, as we think it not only brings a great deal of content to the table, but also a great deal of knowledge about how these songs are actually, or how these styles were actually put together musically. We hope you managed to create something stunning with this sample pack, and as always, if you do, please let us know. Take care, guys, and we'll see you next time.